Okay, we've gone through basic controls and the tonal curve, so we're going to mess with our colors. Your hue, saturation, luminance, they're all bundled into this one control. This is probably honestly one of my favorite controls. We can selectively adjust specific colors within the image and adjust individual colors without adjusting everything. For example, we adjusted our vibrance and our saturation, and we could see the difference between how the blues were affected versus how the oranges. But let's say we want to keep the orange how it is, and we just want to adjust the blues. That's where this tool comes in handy. So let's click over to saturation. We're going to go down to our blue, and we're just going to slide the saturation up. Watch how that blue gains more saturation. With this particular sky, you can see how it's kind of getting a little jittery up here. That's because it's selecting only the blues. We'll probably have to adjust our purples in order to clean that up a little bit better. So let's take you to these back down to 40. There's our before, there's our after. So we just threw a little bit of saturation into the blues. The color controls for every other color, it's going to operate the exact same. Reds, you're going to boost your reds. Oranges, adjust your oranges. You're isolating and selectively adjusting each individual color within the spectrum. Hue, this one's really cool. If we want to adjust a specific color and make it more like a different color, let's say we want this salmon color to be more red, well, we can adjust our oranges and slide it to the left. You can see it's going more pinkish. Do the same thing with our reds. Slide them more towards the red and really crank those reds. We can do the inverse. We can take our reds and oranges and push them more towards orange and yellow. In yellow, you're obviously going to start getting towards those green tones, so you got to be really careful. We can even take our yellows and push them back towards orange and really make everything super orange. That looks terrible, so we're not going to do that. But I did like the idea of having a little bit more red in my picture. We can adjust our blues. Let's say we want this to look deeper. We can take it more towards the purple line of blues and towards a royal blue kind of color, not so much aqua. Black and white controls, which you can also get by hitting the V key on your keyboard. This lets you create a black and white image and adjust the luminosity or brightness of each individual color. So you can see that the brightest parts of our image are yellows. So if we want to make those really bright, we're going to take that yellow control and really push it. Do the same with our oranges, really brighten up that sky. Our blues, which we know is going to be this neutral area right here, we can drop those and really crank some contrast into that sky. Honestly, I usually don't use this control very much. I would rather create my black and white images in Photoshop. But if you're going to do them in Lightroom, this is a very powerful control to create good detail and contrast within your black and white image. If you hit all, it will show you all the controls all in the same grouping. The last one that we haven't gone over, we've gone over adjusting the hue, like making reds more red or more orange, adjusting the saturation of each, and then there's your luminance control, which is right here if you just want to use the one. It lets you control the brightness of every individual color. Let's say we want to make our oranges and reds brighter. Well, you can push light into them by dragging these sliders to the right. And see if you go too far, it will wash out the hue completely. So be careful not to overdo it. If we want to make our blues darker, darken up those skies, really push that. So it lets you create visual contrast without actually using the brightness and contrast controls in the basic control panel. So that's what exists within this hue, saturation, and luminance. You get hue, saturation, luminance, or you can view all of the controls all at once. It lets you adjust each of those. It's basically, you're looking at all three of these controls for an individual color. So you're looking at your orange, you have your hue slider, your saturation, your luminance. Color and HSL are basically the same, except here you're looking at all of the controls for all of the colors. Color, you're looking at all of the controls for an individual color. That's really the only difference, because you can see our luminance is 31. If we go to HSL, go to luminance, Our orange is 31. So they just let you isolate and work with individual colors at one time instead of all of the colors with a single control at one time. Last thing for color is split toning. This is a very basic control, but it lets you create yet another element of visual contrast by pushing a specific color into either the light or dark parts of the image. One of the things that I have found in my studies, a lot of professional photographers and a lot of Hollywood studios add a slight color grade to their film by pushing orange into their highlights. So I usually use the base number of 50. And let's bump it up by 10, 20, 30%. You can see orange is slowly getting added to those bright parts. And they're going to add blue into their shadows. And I usually use the starting number of 210. I found that's a blue color that I really like. And we're going to start pushing that into our shadows. You can see our shadow area is really starting to gain some blues. So you're giving more visual contrast by just modifying how much color is getting pushed into highlights and shadows. Obviously this is incredibly stylized. I usually keep it to about 10% of each. There's before and there's after. Very subtle, but warming up our brights and cooling our shadows. Well, that's it. Next video we're going to go over sharpening and camera controls.